How would you read this decimal number, Irving?
How about 0.25463?
Not quite. How about you, Bruno? How would you properly read this decimal number?
I have no idea, Mr. Cox.
Okay. The first step in understanding decimal arithmetic is to be able to understand decimal numbers. Let me list the things we'll be covering in this video.
First, we will learn how to properly read a decimal number, and we'll learn how to tell the decimal place value from the numerical part. Next, we will learn how to change decimal numbers into fraction numbers, and then learn how to change fraction numbers back into decimal numbers. Then we will learn how to compare decimal numbers to each other. And finally, we will learn how to handle word problems with decimals and fractions in them.
Now let's get started. Reading a decimal number is not that much different than reading a whole number. There are a few minor differences which I'll explain. Let's take this number again. Let me remove the decimal point for a moment and turn it into a whole number. Then ask you to read it, Irving.
Well, that's easy. It's 25,463.
That's correct. Whether you realize it or not, when you read that number, you also read each of the numerals' place values. Just by reading the number, you had to know the place value of each digit. Let me show you each numeral's place value. The 3 is occupying the 1's place. The 6 is occupying the 10's place. The 4 is occupying the 100's place. And the 5 is occupying the 1000's place. And the 2 is occupying the 10,000's place. Now, reading a decimal number is not that much different than reading a whole number. There is a few differences, and if you can read a whole number, you should be able to read a decimal number if you just remember those minor differences. When you read the place values in a regular whole number, you start from the right-hand side, and the place values start with the 1's place. When you read the place values in a decimal number, you start reading them from the left to the right with the first number after the decimal point, and there are two differences from whole numbers. The first place value has no 1's place. A decimal number starts at the 10's place with a th on the end to identify it from a 10's place in a whole number. All decimal place values have a th on the end to identify them as decimal place values, whereas without the th, that would mean whole number place values. Now let's read off all place values in this number starting with the 10's place. The second place value in a decimal number is the 100's place. The third place value in a decimal number is a 1000's place. The fourth place value in a decimal number is a 10,000's place. The fifth place value in a decimal number is a 100,000's place. As you can see, the place values increase like whole number place values except for three differences. 1. You start reading them from the left to the right instead of the right to the left. 2. They do not have a 1's place value. They start with the 10's place value, and they are the same as whole number place values except they have a th on the end of them to show that they are decimal place values and not whole number place values. So in this decimal number, what's the last place value, Bruno?
100,000ths.
Yes. Now let me show you how to properly read a decimal number. Unlike a regular number, with a decimal number you have to do two things. First, you have to determine the last place value of the number because you're going to have to know that after you read the number part. In this decimal number, the last place value is 100,000ths. Now how would you read the number itself, Irving?
You mean the 25463?
Yes, read it just as you would a regular number, ignoring the decimal point for a moment.
Okay, 25,463.
Now you speak the place value to identify it as a decimal number. If you were to stop there, everyone would think you're talking about a whole number.
100,000ths. Let me try this from the beginning. 25,463 100,000ths. Is that right?
Yes, it is. Now let me change the number slightly to see if we can properly read it. I want you to read this number properly. The first thing you should do is to determine the place value here. What is the last place value here, Bruno?
The first place is a 10's place. The second one is a 100's place. The third one is a 1000's place. And the last one is a 10,000's place.
Correct. So our number is in the 10,000's place. Now read the number part and attach the place value onto it when you finish reading it.
Okay, 2,546 10,000ths.
Excellent. Again, let me change the number slightly. Irving, what's the last decimal place value in this number?
The first place value is tenths. Second place value is hundreds. The third and last place value is thousands. So the number's in thousands.
Yes, now read the number part, then attach the place value onto that when you're finished reading it.
So you read it as 254 thousandths.
That's right. Now let me change it again. Bruno, tell me what the last place value is in this decimal number, then read the number properly.
The first place value is tenths, and the next and last one is hundredths. In order to properly read this number, I have to read the numerals first, then read the last place value to it. It's 25 hundredths.
Correct. One more. Irving, tell me the place value in this number, then read it.
The only place value here is tenths. And to read that number properly is 2 tenths.
Very good.